welcome back to Rink's Garage. Today in the garage we got 2012 Chevy Equinox. This is my buddy's car. A week or so ago, it was pretty cold out. Noticed it was knocking a little bit on speed up. So we went and took her for a test drive, and yeah, it was surely knocking. And pulled her in the parking lot, pulled the dipstick, and the oil's real milky. So these things are known. The PCV passageway is a real small hole. A lot of times in the winter, condensation and stuff, that'll get froze up. And it can actually, if it's froze solid, it can actually push the rear main seal out, which is a bigger problem. So today we're gonna dig into it and see what we can find. I got some parts. It did have a code too, 0014, which is exhaust timing too much advanced. So I got a couple of the variable timing solenoids, got some new spark plugs. For sure we'll change the oil, but let's crack her open and see what we find. All right, to get started, we're gonna pull the air box off, which you got a clamp here and a clamp down right there on your throttle body. So we'll take them two clamps off, and you can pop the breather tube out right here. And then this thing is just sitting in some rubber grommets, so we'll pull them off and then pop the air box out and get that out of the way. And then after that, we'll pull the oil cap off, and then this cover will come off the top of the engine, and we'll take a look at what we got to do underneath. So I got the clamps loose, and I was lifting her up, and you can see she's full of water up in there, and these things are known to collect the water up in there, and then when it gets cold it can freeze. But basically, just slide your hoses off each side, and then this part sits in some rubber pieces in the back, and you can lift them out. And as you can see, all kinds of water in there, so not good when it's 0 or below. But next thing we'll do, we'll wind him underneath, take the oil cap off, and this should just pull up. And we can lift him up and take him out of the way. It just sits in some rubber grommets. Throw our cap back on so we don't get dirt in there. So on these engines, I don't believe there is a PCV valve itself. There's just a passageway in the intake manifold with a real small hole, and that'll get plugged up, and then it just causes all kinds of crankcase pressure, which can push out the seal or whatever. So take a look at this and see what we got to do to get the intake manifold off, and we'll check out that orifice and see if it's plugged or not. So on the intake manifold, we got some electrical connections, one here, one here, one here on the throttle body. We'll have to unhook all them, get them out of the way. We got one hose here we can unhook, which has just got a push clip. So you push that white piece up and that slides off. We can set him up out of the way. But I'll pop these clips out and get all these electrical connections off and out of the way. And then it's got like a little cover on there. We'll have to try and get that off and see underneath. I don't know if we're gonna have to take this high pressure fuel pump out of the way to get in there. It'd be nice if we didn't have to unhook the fuel lines, but I'll get this stuff off and we'll take a look at it and see what we need to do next. All right, I'll give you guys a little tip here on the electrical connectors that we got off. So it took me 10 minutes to figure out each one, how to get it unhooked, because, you know, why not make them all the same? No, everyone's a little different. So one up here on the pump is the easy one. That's on the bottom side. It's just got a little thing you gotta push down, and that one will unsnap. This one over here has a little red clip that you got to slide out, and then in the end there's a little lever, so you slide the red clip out and push down on here, and that one will unhook. What else we got? This guy here is kind of the same deal. You just push down on him, and this one down here also has a red clip you slide out and then push on that. So got all them unhooked without breaking them, which usually doesn't happen. Got this bolt loose. We'll take this little clip off that holds this wiring harness up so we can swing him out of the way. Now we got down here, we got a hose with a hose clamp. Take pliers and squeeze that and slide that hose off of there. And then I'll work on getting this little fabric piece out of the way. And then we should have some bolts to get at there. And I believe the dipstick tube has a bracket that runs down underneath here that bolts to the manifold too. So there's one bolt here we'll have to take out, and hopefully we can just swing that dipstick out of the way and not have to pull it out. And then we'll see if we can get that intake out of there without messing with the fuel pump. So. Alright, so we got the bolt out of the dipstick tube, got that out of the way, peeled this stuff back. So here's our intake bolts. Looks like there's 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. On this bottom one here, there's this bracket that's around the fuel pump. Looks like we're gonna have to take off, so that nut will come off, and then there's 2 bolts on this side. Then I think we'll be able to take this cover off. I don't know, it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to get this off without unhooking that fuel line, so we'll get the bolts out and we'll see. So I did end up having to take the fuel line off so I could sneak this out past there. It does get in the way of the air conditioning lines, seem to keep me from getting it all the way out. So what I did was, you can get it back good enough. I got a piece of wire. You can see down here, there's a little hole in this center one. That's the PCV hole, and that'll get plugged up. So I stuck a wire in there, cleaned it out, and then I took the air hose and put on this little hole in the middle and blew air through, and each port has another little orifice in it. So it appears that all of them are clean. I could feel air in each port, so pretty sure that's not clogged up. It maybe was a little bit, but it might have been, this one was iced up too. So put her back together, basically I'll clean everything up, clean the gaskets up, and put her back down, get the bolts back in, and start putting all this back together, and then move on to the next step. Another thing I did forget to mention was I had these top 2 are studs. I did have to back them out, and they just got a little hex on top, so you can crack them loose. Then you don't have to slide it all the way out. You can just go straight down with it. So we'll put them back in, torque them down, and then we'll put the rest of the bolts back in the manifold, start putting stuff back on, get our wires and everything hooked up. And up here are the cam timing solenoids, and I got a couple new ones of them because we had a code saying the exhaust timing was too far advanced. So get this thrown back together, and then we'll work on switching them out. Alright, got everything buttoned up back together. So next we're going to move on to the cam solenoids. So this one threw a code for the exhaust cam being too far advanced, and that could have been why it was knocking also. Maybe it's just the sludgy oil getting up in there, but we're going to replace them both since we got it off. I got a package deal to them. It was like 60 bucks. So if you can see down there, there's a bolt that holds each one of them in. So pull that bolt out and then these will slide up and out of there, and we'll take the clips off. This one's already missing the clip, but basically you push in on this little white piece here, pop this clip out, and then you can push on this top one and unplug it. So I'll get them out and we'll throw the new ones in. All right, so I got the bolts loosened up, and these things will be kind of tight in there. So what you want to do is take a vice grips and you can just rock on it while you lift up, and they'll come loose. You can see this one. If you can see that, there's a lot of crud in that screen. Looks like some metal. And that could give you an issue. Possibly your timing chain is wearing out, where that metal could come from, among other things. So we'll grab the new one and stick him in. You'll notice on the top of them, the exhaust one's got a black top on it. Intake one is gray or white. So you see this new one, the screen's nice and clean. So drop him back in there. There. Tighten him up, and then we'll just repeat the same process for the exhaust side. All right. So now we can hook our plugins back in, and that is good. I'll give you a better, closer look at this intake one. I don't know if you could see it before, but there's a little bit of metal on there, but it's not all the way around and it's not too gunked up, so I think we'll be all right. All right, next thing we're gonna do is change the spark plug. Since we got everything off here, this thing's got 98,000 on it, so I don't know that they've ever been changed, so we might as well do it while we got the top off. So each one's got a 10mm bolt. Take that off, and then you should be able to just wiggle the boot off, lay that out of the way, and then your spark plug is way down in that hole. So we'll grab the spark plug wrench and wind him out and put the new one in and put it back together, and then just repeat for them other three. Alright, got all the spark plugs switched out. We're just about ready to throw the top back on. I'm going to take this line off and just clean them out. Blow some carb cleaner in there with some air and blow it out just to make sure there's no gunk. Following that up, the plugs, they're due for a change. They're not super sooty. I know he said it does use a little oil, but they definitely needed to be changed. So they're all in about the same condition, so nothing major there. But we'll get that hose cleaned out. I'll get all the top plastic and the air box back on, and then we'll change out the oil quick and take her for a rip. All right, so we got the oil drained out of it. I think he said he had about 800 to 1,000 on the oil change. And the oil's pretty dark. It's got a little bit of tint to it, but she's pretty black. So I know when we pulled the dipstick that one day, it was pretty milky looking. If there was a little bit of water after it was running, that it's mixed up, but nothing too major, it doesn't look like. So hopefully the main thing was that cam solenoid was just stuck, causing it to knock a little bit. So we'll throw some new oil in it and go for a spin, make sure she's not knocking anymore, and that's gonna do her for this job. So get the oil in her and we'll go from there. Out for a test drive in the Equinox. Seems to be running good. We're not getting any engine knock or anything like that. Pull in the yard here. Yeah, went about 3-4 miles down the road and back, and she's running good. We didn't pick up any check engine lights. They all stayed off, so I think we got her fixed. Put her back in the garage for the night. That's gonna do it for this video, so hope it was helpful. Yeah, didn't go too bad, so basically anybody could handle it, I think. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.